Are we live?
We live. We live. We
We live.
live.
What
We
up? What up? What up?
live.
Let me organize all my screens.
Come on,
Hi,
harmonize with
everybody.
me, Will. Hello. Welcome. It is May 18th, and we are live. Welcome, everyone, to Photography and Friends Live. We are super excited to be with you today. 2 weeks in a row, back in the saddle. Feels good. Will, how's
Two
it going?
weeks in a row.
How you doing? Will, can you hear me? No?
Who's is it me? It's me. Sorry. It's like who's the one that's being repetitive? It's me. I'm the problem.
How
It's
are
me.
you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. Good.
Things are good. I'm about wrapping up with this lighting course. I got the dates down for the boot camp, which may be adjusted. We can talk more about that later.
Nice. Yeah.
I have a real estate shoot immediately after this live stream.
Yeah.
I'm doing all right. How
That's
about
why
you,
you're dressed
Phil?
so nicely, huh?
I know I have like my business colored shirt
Are you
on.
doing video for that or photos too?
I'm doing both. Yeah,
Oh, nice.
it was starting with just headshots for this real estate group, and
Yeah.
it's turned into a bunch of social media videos of them talking. So we're taking all the cameras with me, all
Nice.
the tripods,
Nice.
all the lighting things.
Nice. Can I ask
So
how
yeah.
much you like charge for that or what a typical rate is?
That's a good question, Phil. Um,
People
honestly,
want
like
to know.
honestly, like for these little like 0 to 30 second editing reels, I charge like around $200 to edit them because I do them pretty quickly and
Uh-huh.
fast. But then for like actual like going and shooting, I would charge my normal hourly rate, which is usually between $200 and $300 an hour, depending on how long this takes. This is probably going to take 2 or 3 hours.
Hmm. And
So
that's
there you
just
go.
for
And
the video stuff or for photos too?
that's for just the video stuff. For portraits and headshots, I go anywhere from $200 to $300, depending on how many looks and where they need to be.
Hmm.
But it's all like adjustable, right? Like, so I guess it just depends on how much they need, how much, also like how much they're like asking me to do stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just kind of depends. I think for this, it's a lot. So, and they've
Yeah.
they've hired me quite a bit, so it's kind of a nice client to like, have.
That's
And in case
awesome.
they're watching, I promise I won't be late.
Yeah. We are going to cut out a little bit early today, so we'll probably go 50 minutes so we can all get to the work that we need to do. But if you are here right now, let us know in the comments where you're tuning in from. Hey, Brian from Pennsylvania.
Julie's
Yuli, who's
here.
here.
Julie took the
Becky.
wedding boot camp course.
Yep. Yep. Let us know where you're tuning in from, and let us know what you had for breakfast today.
What? That's a new one.
My kids like discovered Lucky Charms, and I'm like,
Hmm.
my Isabel, my wife, and I were talking about, did you eat Lucky Charms? Did you just eat it all? Or I was like the kid that would save all the marshmallows to the end, and then I would like eat the
Same.
marshmallows. Or
Always.
my kids now, they just eat the marshmallows and they're like, "Can I have more?" And I'm like, "No, you have to eat the rest of the sugary cereal before you can get more of the marshmallows."
Yeah. It's like filming your kids eating cotton candy for the first time. Like they've
Yeah.
gotten into Lucky Charms.
Yeah.
That's great.
Hello,
Ooh,
Fifth
from
Hammer
Germany,
Studios.
Puerto
Bill,
Rico.
thanks for being here. Marcel. So today, what we're going to do, we can jump into some of the photo challenges right now. What we're going to do is we pulled our favorite photos and from some of the past several weeks, actually. And we're just going to go through our top ones and pick them. So we're going to start with the night photography. Uli had bread, butter, and raspberry jam.
Sounds good.
Bagel and almond butter.
I
Nice.
had bread
Solid.
and butter as well. Lots of toast. Love me some toast.
I had left half eaten banana nut but banana bread muffin kind of thing. My kids
Banana
like
bread muffin.
started it. That's most of my breakfast now. It's just the leftovers of what my kids haven't eaten.
So no marshmallows.
Yeah, no, I don't get any marshmallows anymore. It's so sad. Nancy Russell, hello. Greg, thank you for being here. All right, and so we're gonna do challenges. We're gonna talk a little bit about lighting stuff, and if you have questions about lighting, we'll go over that. So bring those then, and then we'll be answering any other questions later on. But let's get into the night photography challenge, which
Let's
was
go.
a few weeks ago. So here are some of our favorites. Very Brancardo posted this one. Very has been
Always Barry.
posting some really great photos lately. She's been getting really creative with this stuff. So really liked this one. I don't even know how if this was a
She's doing
double
those double
exposure.
exposures. I think that's how she's doing it.
Got it.
Remember she was talking about,
Yeah.
wait, it's 2 nights ago in the photo challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the Fuji, you can do double exposures, right? So take one out of focus photo with all this like bokeh,
Yeah.
and then take a really cool nightscape photo, like
In
easy,
camera.
right?
That's
Yeah, in camera. Yeah, like way to start off with, double exposures.
yeah. I mean, without that double exposure, without the bokeh that you see here, it would have been maybe an interesting photo of this cyclist going by, but with it makes it more magical and really good exposure on the cyclist. It's a longer shutter speed. You could see maybe this guy in the background walking is super out of focus. There's movement, so very difficult shot. So very good job, Brian. This is one of Will's favorites that he picked, Moon over Cooperstown.
Yeah. It's cool. I mean, it's like very rare that you're shooting like down like a main street cityscape, and seeing like, nighttime lit up by the moon.
Yeah, that's super
Like that
cool.
is a bright moon. And also they must have like to be able to still somewhat have the shape of the moon, but also like nothing's super shaky and you see light on the ground.
Hmm.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, good job,
Cheers
Brian.
from Mexico. Still waiting for Will's hockey doc. Thanks,
Carlos,
Carlos.
yeah.
He lives in Mexico and plays hockey.
That's awesome. Marcel, who's here listening, this was one of my favorites.
Oh
Your
yeah.
night photo, f2 1/180th, pretty solid settings. And this is, yeah, I love just the camera shot framing this person looking at the cameras without the subject. It would have been an okay photo, but having that subject there is great. I probably would have just
Mhm.
cropped in just a tiny bit on the right hand side. You see this little
Oh
bit right
yeah.
here that you could crop out and just center out this frame,
Just
or the
make
window.
the square within a square perfect almost,
Yeah,
with a
but
little bit of feet room.
awesome shot. I love it. Let's go on. Okay, so this was beautiful bokeh. Wait, did you pick any favorites or did I just
I
pick
think I
them for
sent you
this?
my
Maybe
favorites.
you would. Okay, so
Oh, maybe not.
I think this one you
I
missed. So
skipped
these were
that
just
one.
some favorites that I pulled up. Emanuele posted this one. I
Now,
love this one, and this is exactly what I'm talking about with like what we talk about with bokeh, the different shapes you get in the background depending on the different lens. And this one, you get that dappled light coming in through the leaves where you really
yeah,
get that to see that bokeh.
this
Super
looks
super
like
cool.
a Nikon camera. Is there a way to tell?
It's the Canon Rebel,
Canon.
she said. F4, that's pretty. So with the
Pretty
50
good
millimeter
bokeh.
lens.
See, that's what I'm saying though. Like you don't need to be at a 2.8 to get this kind of bokeh. Like that's still a 50 millimeter lens, and
Yeah.
the subject is still far away from the background that you will
Hmm.
still have that effect.
Yeah.
Because I think people are always like, I gotta shoot wide open all the time. Like
Yeah.
you don't.
F1.2. I wish that the butterfly was a little brighter. Maybe that's something you could have edited in post. It's a little bit like
Edited.
crushed. Yeah, you don't see any detail, but I really like it. And I wonder, I mean, this is probably how it was, but if it was rotated, I don't know, could have been cool too. But lovely photo. Here's another one, another Brian photo. This one a little bit more subtle bokeh in the background, but the bird is super sharp,
Yeah.
really cool.
Not
Yeah,
as
just
like
lovely.
chunky a bokeh in the background for that one.
Yeah, yeah. That, Brian, I forget what camera you're using nowadays. Very with another one. This one was super cool. Called, is it Pink Fireflies? Also with the
Back
56
on that XT4.
1.2. So
Yeah, there it is. That 56 millimeter. That is like, I don't know. I feel like that's like one of the hero lenses that Fuji's ever made. And I think she has the version 2. Didn't she say in Photo Friends
I
Plus
can't
that she was
remember if she
getting it?
got the updated version or not. But the
Yeah.
old version I just saw because I got a brochure from K.com,
Okay.
KEH.com,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
and they had the 56. I think the original version was like starting at $400 or something, which is pretty good for that lens because
That's
I think I paid
real cheap.
closer to 1,000. But obviously they have
Oh,
a new version out now. But
that version 1 lens that you could probably see a lot of my headshots of actors on my website for.
yeah,
I think I paid like 1,200 or
yeah,
1,300 for that one. If
I
it's
might have paid for that much.
$400 now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So Fuji fam, if you're interested. And then Jose, oh, I really loved this one. Darth Vader. It looks like a Christmas tree in the background. Also, the 50 millimeter RF. So this is the RF ISO 2000. That's pretty high. If maybe you could have, if it was on like a tripod, you probably could have slowed down that shutter speed and dropped the ISO a little bit. But you're not getting a ton of noise actually. And maybe you clean some of that up in editing. But super cool shot. Very creative. This would have been good for, I think we had the toy photo challenge a few months ago too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I like the headband.
Oh, and then this was one more I wanted to bring up. Nancy, I think Nancy, you're here. This one, you don't see like as much of like the bokeh circles as much, but you see it a little bit and it's a lot smaller in the background. I just loved this portrait a lot and the color tone of it. It's very nice. And yeah, just really, really, really great photo. All right, we had a couple product photos that we liked. Will, this is one of yours, Alexandros.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much detail in this that they clearly were paying attention to, including the like shadow icon in the background.
Yeah.
Something you think about with product photos too is like you see the like the light on the bottle, like that's important, right? You're looking at that reflection on the bottle, and that's what kind of makes it pop and gives it shape.
Mm-hmm.
The ice cubes, I do have a little bit of issue with. They kind of look over heightened exposure wise. Like you're losing detail in them a little bit. That'd be the only. They need to get that fill ice cube shot
Yeah,
extraordinaire
the high speed
in there.
photography. I don't even know. Do you need the ice falling in it? Maybe if
Probably
it was
not. I don't think
just
you
like
do.
a
You
fuller
could
glass
just
with
have the
more
cup
ice.
there.
The
Yeah.
background also, like in terms of like we're being nitpicky. This is a great photo. Lighting's
We're being
great.
nitpicky, but I feel like the better the photo, the more things we have to say about
Yeah,
it.
totally.
You know?
Like the background, you see the creases in the backdrop. If you were doing this professionally, you'd want to like iron that out or steam it out or something, get those flat. I mean, you could probably fix a little bit of that in post using like a clone tool or the healing brush tool. But yeah, I mean, pretty dang good. I like the little details of bringing the chocolate, the pastry here too, that I'm guessing like is some of the flavors in this liqueur. So cool photo though. Really good job. And then another one. This was fun. Norm, the A&W.
I literally
root
need to go
beer.
get a root beer float now after looking at this.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just awesome. Norm, did you say how you got the
Sorry,
fog?
It's so funny
Synthetic
because
and
like
vapor.
I feel the
Compressed
synthetic
air.
vapor rising off the. Oh, wild! It's
Yeah,
so
that's
funny
super
because I feel
cool.
like in our product photography course, if you ever take it, we talk about putting a product on a piece of glass or on like reflective poly material.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what that is. And then having like two reflective lights, like you can see the lights on the right and the left are like kissing it to like help it separate itself from the background. Like there's a lot of really good things going on in this photo. I
Yeah,
do think the
totally.
fog might be like a tad too much.
Yeah.
I
I
like
like
it.
it.
I just think it needs to be thinned out just like a tad, just like a
Yeah.
little bit. Like it's
Okay.
great, leave it. But
Maybe
like
even just dropping the
haze it,
exposure a bit would help.
yeah,
Maybe
bring
take a
down the
little
white.
brush to this line back here, which is like the edge of the glass or mirror, whatever it's on, and just darken that so that it fades into black, I think would help
Yeah.
too. I want to bring up, there was a couple, Laura, you posted this really great one too. And the only thing I would do is use like either in Lightroom, you could do the object selection or the background selection and get the background and brighten that up a bit. You can really see when it's posted on like a white website how dark it is. There's a little bit of a vignette around it. So just brighten that up and desaturate the background completely. That's what I would do to just make this pop. But really cool photo. Have you played around with any of these Instax cameras, or has anyone listening?
I have one.
You have one?
Yeah, it's in the other room.
I've never played around with it.
They're super cool. I actually shot. A couple asked me to bring it for a wedding. Yeah. So I have like a whole series of black and white Instax Polaroids from a wedding, and they love them. And then I had them professionally scanned, and they're great. They're super fun.
Nice.
I like them so much. I bought my mom one.
Oh, what?
I bought my mom one.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. That's so fun. I think I was reading that the Fuji Instax, it's like most of what revenue Fujifilm brings in is from the Instax cameras, and it's really like boosted their annual revenue compared to like other companies because of the Instax brand.
That is,
which is pretty cool. Our last one from a couple weeks ago was the futuristic, and we only got 3 posts, but our favorite was this one. Marley Copeland posted these futuristic glasses. I didn't really even know if this was like real, but it looks real, and it looks comped.
Dope. But I mean, maybe the glasses are comped. Does it say anything in there?
I don't know. Yeah, I was wondering if it was like a composition, but the lighting, like, I think it must be some sort of toy or something. I don't know. It looks cool.
That's the thing, is like with this lighting, is like you can think of, I remember discovering this when I was in like high school, is like you can expose to the brightest spot and just let things fall off. And the way I did it, I remember I was in like a dark room and I put my laptop half closed on the bed, and you see this nice soft blue light coming out, and then set your camera to expose for that light so that everything else just falls in the darkness. And that's like, this is a really good example of that. And you'll learn how to control your light much faster that way.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, next week, let me see. What's our challenge for this week?
Someone asked if it's possible for you guys to post what the next few challenge subjects would be. I don't always have time each week to take a photo tailored to the challenge.
That's a great question, and I have something for you.
I bet you do.
But hold on one second. Next week, I'm trying to find what I'm looking for. Okay, so next week, let me bring up my screen. So currently the week is reflection. So let's get those reflection photo challenges in there. In terms of upcoming weeks, it is kind of a surprise every week that we post. The only way right now that you can find out upcoming weeks is this little ebook that I put together. Actually, it's a paper book if you want. It's the, let me zoom out, 52 Photo Challenges book, and it's actually on Amazon, and you can buy it. It's free if you have an Amazon Kindle membership.
Good plug.
But yeah, it has all of the photo challenges that we're doing this year, and they're in order. So, and it has some tips and stuff. And if you really want to, have it get ahead of the game, you can get the this book. You could get the hardback, paperback. It's pretty cool. It's just one of those other Amazon Kindle on-demand prints that I put together, but super helpful. You can pick it up, and it's only a couple bucks as ebook, or if you buy the paper book back, it's like $10. I'll put the link. This is the US store, so if you're in another country, just search for 52 photography challenges and then like Ebener or my name. It should just pop up. Cool. A little plug there.
Good plug.
While we're plugging, just thank you to our supporters who are in the Photography and Friends Plus community, and we really appreciate it. It motivates us to get back here doing our live streams every week or every other week. So thank you to all of our members. The Plus community is free, and you can join that at plus.photographyandfriends.com. That's where you can actually submit your photos. That's where we have all this stuff that we are looking at today with the challenges, the questions, and the upcoming boot camp that Will is going to be running about photography lighting. So we'll be talking about that in just a minute. But yeah, thank you for doing the challenges. Anyone else have any questions right now?
We'll look at this one. Will, I'll be in Nashville next Tuesday. Anything neat to shoot with limited time?
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Okay. That brings up, speaking of that, that brings up this question that was in the community that I will pull up really quick.
Oh,
and you can talk about that.
The answers.
Hold on. Let me bring
Is it
it up.
about us starting a physical school somewhere?
No, it was about scouting new locations. So Ryan asked how, like, they use Google sometimes to scout new locations to get like spots for going on photo adventures. Maybe if you're doing like portraits or whatever. What's your advice, or do you have any sort of websites or tools or things you use if you're going to a new spot?
Photo Pills is like a not Photo Pills. Sorry, there's another one. I always forget the name of it. But Google Maps is always your friend for sure. Like that's definitely like probably the thing I rely on the most. For Greg for this question, yeah, to be like coming to Nashville, like you can go to Instagram and just hashtag like Nashville photos, or like go to Google and Google like what are the best, and that's a good starting point, and then using Google Maps to like supplement that. But yeah, I mean Broadway in Nashville is going to be your quick best bet, especially at night with all the neon signs.
Don't you have a YouTube video about taking photos in downtown Nashville?
I do. I have a little video about walking around shooting 35 millimeter Ektar film with my buddy Goose, who filmed me running around Nashville doing that. And I want to redo that on the medium format Hazy and the Q2 and a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, I mean, honestly, just it sounds silly, but like just Google it. But
the Instagram tip's good. I do that. Like I'll go to the location tag. So you could do hashtags, but you could also search for a spot, and then there's the location tag that pops up. And then usually it's like, sometimes it's dumb, like trendy photos or whatever viral stuff that pops up. But a lot of times it's like the most beautiful photos from those locations that pop up. I think you can still like filter by like most recent or most popular. So I'll do that. Or if you're looking for spots to do portraits, which is maybe a different thing, I'll just look up like, usually like in like my nearby vicinity, I look at like parks and things like that I know will have nice backgrounds, unless you're going for like a more urban grungy background. And I'll just look like Bonelli Park, family portraits, family photos. And on Google, a lot of other photographers will have blog articles where they have examples of photos that they've shot at these locations, and you can kind of get a sense of maybe where to go or what to look out for. I mean, also just searching for like, a location and photo spots. People might be posting stuff about that.
To that note, like in a blog, like honestly, YouTube, like even like if you were to search Nashville film, I would pop up on my little like adventure through there. Or I think I did one with Sam in Miami, and it's like any town you go to or anywhere, there's somebody walking around with a camera making a YouTube video. And that is just a good starting point. Take those locations and plug them into Google and check them out.
Greg had mentioned that the stream was having issues. Anyone else having the stream issues, or make sure our audio is good, even levels? Howdy, Intrigue. Hi, how's it going? Thank you for being here. Tori talks about Broadway also being a good spot. Let us know in the chat how you
Tell them,
doing,
Tori.
everyone. Anyone else have tips for finding locations? And that let's switch things up, and we're going to talk a little bit about lighting. Really quickly, though, we'll just mention. Tori says, sounds good. Uli says, sound no problems.
Yuli had a quick question, but we
Oh,
can
yeah.
save it for Q&A
No,
time.
no,
Or
no. We can answer it, and then
she said,
we'll.
Will, have you ever had a client who hired you for an event and it turned out to be a wedding? What would you do in this case? Oddly enough, that has never happened to me, but I have heard that happen to a couple of, like, two different people before. And the way that goes is that they ask you to come shoot like an engagement or like a party, and then all of a sudden it's a wedding, which is pretty annoying.
That.
Not gonna lie. That's a thing. And the other part is like they'll get you if your rate is higher for weddings and lower for like a party, which is why your hourly rate should be the same across everything.
That's
And
so
then,
weird.
I
I've
would,
never heard of that, but that's crazy.
yeah, that's happened. And it's like, well, what are you supposed to do? Like, you're still like, you're there. You gotta, I mean, you're there to take the photos. You don't want to take away from the moment, and like it can get bad. But at the same time, like, I don't know. I would shooting an event is one thing. It's always going to be an event. Everything's going to be the same. If it turns into a wedding where you have to go and do portraits of them or like single photos, then it's like, all right, well, we did all this extra work. I'm going to need more money or like something. I don't know. That's a tough
If I
call.
was if I was hired by someone who was like, "Hey, can you come photograph this event? It's going to be a couple hours, just general event photography." And then I show up and either it's a wedding or it's like a surprise wedding, I would talk to them and I'd be like, "You know what? This is I would not do it." I would say, "Okay, this is going to I don't know about the whole charging thing. I mean, there's something not that you want to overcharge for weddings, but I just feel like a standard event is different than a wedding in terms of
Right.
pressure and
But
everything. And
yeah, to get you not in trouble, it's like you have an hourly rate. That's how much it costs for you to come out and be a photographer. And like
yeah,
it kind of means anything. The thing that gets tricky is like event photography versus like then you start getting into like the editing time, right? If you have to do portraits, you have to
yeah,
like
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and then that,
That's what I mean. Yeah, like
yeah,
if you have to do like the couples
extra.
photography shots of them, like that's totally outside the scope of just like a general event
Yeah.
style. You're going to be editing those differently and stuff. I don't know. That's crazy. Hopefully that doesn't happen to many people.
Yeah, I mean, I've really only heard it happen twice, and it sucks.
All right, so let's talk about lighting, which is a
Oh
good
yeah.
time to pitch the upcoming lighting boot camp. This is going to be the launch of a completely brand new course that Will is putting together with the help from Sam. They shot it the past couple months. They're editing it right now. It's just they're finishing up the edit, but you can save your spot right now for the lighting boot camp, and you can find this if you go to Photography and Friends Plus or plus.photographyandfriends.com if you're a member, which is free to join, and then you just scroll down to the lighting course. You'll see this page right here, and right now if you sign up, you're not going to see the course. It's not published. It'll be live maybe next week, and you can get a head start watching it. But the boot camp, which is going to run for a month, is going to include the private discussion board where you'll be able to ask Will all your questions,
All the questions.
post photos, all that. And it has four, I guess I'm not logged in so you can't see, but you're going to get access to the bootcamp meetings, which are 4 live coaching sessions, which are on Zoom. So you're actually going to interact with Will, be there. And Will, you just hosted the wedding bootcamp. So I guess talk about like what's the lighting bootcamp for, who's it for, and anything else I missed.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like the lighting boot camp in general is all artificial light. So it's not anything. We're not going to be talking about like how to control the sun and where to position your humans when you're taking photos of them, but it's literally all about flash photography, strobe photography, multiple strobes, colored strobes, everything and anything that has to do with like creating artificial light. for your photos, and a lot of studio work. And I do have one session where we take photos of Sam outside and use the flash to do like fill in the shadows against the sun. So it's a lot of things about that. The cool thing about this boot camp thing, and this is only the second time we're doing it, right? We did it one time with the wedding stuff. It's really cool that I get to like interact with you. And like the sessions are awesome. Like Yuli's watching right now. She was able to like ask tailored questions. There's one time where I think only she showed up for the first like 10 minutes and we just like talked about her business, and she's doing a lot. It's just, I don't know. It's one step further to a point where we can be teaching in person and doing workshops. But obviously like a little bit more international and easier for us to connect with everybody. The class itself is broken up into, what artificial light is, how we would use it in an artistic way. And it's really focused on photographing people, not necessarily like objects or anything like that. You can go do the product photography course. It's also not anything to talk about like what f-stop is, what shutters are. Like you need to have had a really good base level of photography to take it. Or not. You can watch it and try and understand flashes before you go, but it would help that you know what an f-stop is.
Yeah.
Man, what else? We did a lot. We rented out like a little studio and like
It's
shot
a bunch of like
stuff.
live demos where you're actually showing examples of like different lighting styles and setups. So it's like we haven't done this before in depth as you're doing it in this class, and it's a lot of people have asked for the lighting stuff. So this is it.
Way more in depth. I think in the advanced cinematography course, we talked about 3-point lighting with constant light, and we do that in this course, but even more. I have Sam sit down on a stool and I move one light around him to show you the different effects of what a light can do to a human face. We talk about the different styles. We talk about taking a headshot versus like a modeling shot. I actually do a couple shots on film, which was kind of fun. Hooking up my old Hasselblad to like a newer strobe. I'm in the course. I'm using a Canon speed light, and I'm using a Godex 200. I'm so bad with gear names. It's like a fixed speed light Godex remotely firing. And yeah, I mean, it's probably the most comprehensive lighting thing we've done outside the masterclass. But even in the masterclass, I feel like that little session we did with you and Sam and William Shakespeare was pretty light. On the weight side.
Yeah, totally. In terms of like the dates for the live sessions, we will add that to the page. If you go to the photographyandfriends.com/lighting bootcamp page, or just go to that on the Plus platform, it's going to be, we're trying to do a couple during the day, a couple at night in, I guess, Nashville time, US time, so that people
I'm going to be all over the place.
Can join live if you work during the day. They are going to be recorded, but it is just like an issue with having a global audience trying to find a time that works for everyone. So
we tend to tailor towards when we're awake, unfortunately. And the replays are great, but obviously it's like way better to be there. And like in the lives, I go through a lesson or I'll go through live and just we'll let you ask questions. You can raise your hand in Zoom and we get to it. And they're usually about an hour. I also like, if there's not a lot of people in the first lesson, I'm going to ask who you are and what you're doing and what you want to learn out of it. And it will be tailored towards that. And I try to remember everybody's equipment. There's a question here. It says, what's the least amount of equipment you would suggest for taking the lighting boot camp? I don't really think you need anything. Like you could take it and still just be like interested in eventually getting a flash. Obviously it helps to be actively like taking photos at the same time during a boot camp. But I do have one little lesson on onboard built-in camera flash. And that's the little pop-up flash that comes on your camera, and like how to use it, what the difference is between diffusion.
I mean, I'm sure there's like the flash that I got is like one of the most popular ones on Amazon. It's just like the newer brand that's like $50 or something. I'm sure what you teach can be applied to using like whatever like basic flash or strobe you can get. You don't have to pay $200 or $300 for the top Godex kit. Just get like a basic flash, and they generally work the same. So if you don't have a flash, it's like, yeah, you can learn. Brian's asking, yeah, you can
Yeah.
learn. It would help to be able to practice, obviously, but
But at the same time, like the first few lessons are really conceptual. It's like,
mhm,
what is light? How do we manipulate it? What are the three properties that I talk about using it? There are
yep,
three different variables that we need to like talk about in using light. And so understanding that will also give you a really good, or it'll put you in a good place when you're ready to buy equipment or rent it. So
yeah.
even if you don't have anything, you will learn stuff. Um, you know, it's, plus I'm like really funny and entertaining. So why wouldn't you want to watch my class?
You get to hang out with Will live. So
To
much
hang out,
fun. Is Sam going to be
me
there for the
and
live
Sam.
sessions at all?
Sam's gonna try and join the last two, but Sam is off on an
Yeah.
island somewhere in the
He's in
Pacific,
like, yeah, on the other side of the world.
and we are
Anyways,
literally on opposite timing. Yeah,
this is just like the first time we are announcing this. We are limiting it to 25 members. If we get up to that amount so that you can have a good coaching session with Will, so yeah, it's $50. It lasts 4 weeks. You get lifetime access to the full lighting course as well, and all of the replays to the live trainings. And so you can join today. The course won't be
yeah, and
live yet until next week, but you can
and
join.
also
Yeah.
the private discussion board is like something that we used a lot, and that is a place where I will be checking it every day as long as the boot camp is live.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be interacting there. Like it's hard for me to get time to like talk on the main photography and plus discussion board, but the boot camp comes with my undivided attention daily.
Yeah.
So if you have questions and stuff, it's just a really good way to learn, and not just learn, but like I learn from you guys and watch a lot of your photos coming in and coming out, and like each other, like having a little community just on lighting is really fun. I think we did that with the wedding thing where we all were kind of like, we knew each other's situations and we offered suggestions, and like it's much better like community based learning, than just throwing photos out to the wind. So
Is there a tip for like lighting or a concept that you want to share to kind of get people
yeah,
started?
I
Because I
I
think
think one of
like
the
people, lighting is intimidating for new photographers, and
Mhm.
even for us, we didn't teach lighting for a while. We always, did our portraits out in nature with natural light, but we ourselves have grown as photographers, but getting that flash on and knowing how to use it is kind of difficult.
I think the technical aspect of it is important, and going through all the terms like TTL, onboard camera, offboard camera, that stuff's important. But I think once you understand the concept of lighting, and like the big thing that I talk about in the course, and I've mentioned it here, is lighting is very similar to water. And like if you think about particles of water, and we think about all the variables coming out of like, let's say like a faucet or a hose, right? Like the amount of intensity in light is also the amount of pressure coming out of a water. Spreading out light to make it softer on someone's face is like putting a screen in front of water to make it spray, versus like hard water that's just like coming straight out of a hose, versus hard light, right? Like comes from a sun, that's hard light. So like there's a lot of metaphors that we can use to compare water and lighting. And I
Mm-hmm.
think once you get past that and you practice that, or even what you just heard me say, like you will feel more comfortable manipulating it, because everyone's good with manipulating water out of a faucet. Like, and
Yeah.
you understand that water is particles, is made up of particles,
Yeah.
and like really light is too. Light is made up of photons, and it's like why we can capture it in our cameras digitally. And so when you learn to manipulate those photons, whether it's bouncing it off a white card or pushing it through like a sheet to like spread it out, or just letting it hit you like with really hard light, those photons, they feel good. They're nice and warm.
I wish in the class we would have just, you guys would have set up Sam, who's your model for some of the lessons, send him outside, get one of those hoses with the nozzle, put it on jet mode,
We
and be
should have
like,
done
this
that.
is hard light.
Yeah.
Psh, right?
That
This
would have
is
been, man.
soft light, turn it to mist mode.
I should have had him like close his eyes and be like, all right, here is hard light, and just
Yeah,
that
we could
sounds like a
still do it.
fantastic
Good
YouTube
viral
video.
video right there.
Yeah. Or TikTok or Reels, as they say.
Yeah. So, does anyone have questions about lighting that you want us to cover right now, and other questions now. We'll open it up just general
Yeah.
Q&A. We're gonna go for
Q&A.
like 10 minutes so that Will can get to his real estate photography gig.
Oh
But
boy.
does anyone have questions about anything? And just to, as a reminder, the boot camp starts in June, so you have like 2 weeks basically to sign up and reserve your spot for the boot camp. But yeah, questions.
Questions,
Throw them
concerns,
at us.
Bruton.
You want to learn more about photons and electrons?
Uh,
Carolyn
yeah.
asked about the what time the live streams are. Tentatively, we have them. Let me see.
We
I'll just
do, and I just shifted some times because we're still manipulating them. I think I'd like to I want to have the dates and times down before you purchase a class, so you know that
yeah.
you'll be able to make them. There they are. Um, at the moment,
Is this a
I
good
feel
tentative schedule, or do you want to not show this right
yeah.
now?
I mean, I guess like part of it is like I also want to know like where people are going to be joining from because like I can tailor them to be a little bit later to your time zone,
Yeah,
or not.
I
Are those
think
all PST?
on
Yeah,
my
yeah,
yeah, when I'm signing
yeah,
it
they would
shows
be.
Pacific time. So I think what we'll do is we'll have this be super tentative or semi tentative, and then depending on if we get a bunch of people who work during the day and 90% of the boot camp needs them at night, then we will swap it to night or something like that. But yeah, I think we can kind of be as flexible as possible. Also understanding that Will's not going to be able to make sure that it's perfect for everyone. Unfortunately, it's
Yeah,
just
I think
impossible.
that's the problem. I get very sleepy after 9 p.m. So
Yeah, so I'll add this to the screenshot of these times to the link where you can, so you'll be able to see and try to plan it out for you. Cool. So Uli brings up a question.
let's go. What's the question?
Will you explain how to use strobes? For some reason, I'm scared of
Oh yeah.
strobes.
I mean, I use in the course. I use a Godex strobe. It's not a speed light where it like manipulates around. It's just a straight speed light, but it's basically a strobe. And you can replace on the Godex. You can replace the hard speed light with a bulb, which is like much more stroby. But the concepts are the same. Like the way those work, why we use those versus like constant light. So yeah, I mean, it's it's daunting and it's scary, but I promise you, if you are patient with it and you take your time, it's very easy to put into practice.
All right, cool. I'm adding this right now to that page so people know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like had a lot of fun. I think the one thing to remember though is that we're not going to talk about sun. We're not going to talk about
Yeah,
natural light because those are
it's
two
more
very
like
different
lighting,
things.
actual flash lighting for portraits mostly. Yeah.
Yeah. Mostly portraits, and all the things that go with strobes. I think typically I do use an umbrella with the diffusion for my strobe, which is how, if you go to my website, a lot of my headshots I use a reflective umbrella, and the light bounces into it, and then through a strobe, or I'm sorry, through a piece of diffusion.
Cool. Okay, well, those times are now up on that page for people who want to join. All right,
Okay.
questions. Can you convert lens focal length without buying a whole new lens? Like convert a 50 millimeter to 35. The only thing you could do is get a teleconverter
Go the other way. I don't think you can
for
go
the other
backwards.
way. Yeah, you couldn't like go from 50 to 35, but you might be able to go to 35 to 50, but you're adding a separate piece in between the lens, which can affect like how fast it focuses. But a lot of people use teleconverters, but usually for like longer focal lengths, like if you want that extra going from 200 millimeter to 300 or 500 to 600 or whatever it is. And it's not as specific as like millimeter lengths. It's more of like a multiplication factor, like a 1.25 conversion.
Yeah, it's not precise like that.
So hopefully that answers your question. But yeah. Uli asked about constant strobe light. So constant, when you say that constant light, you're not really talking about strobes though, right?
Well, usually when you say constant light, it just means a light that's on, right? Constant all the time. The
Yeah.
thing is, though, you can light with like movie lights or constant
Yeah.
lights, like we do for our video stuff.
Yeah.
But a lot of strobes do have a mode that is constant light. And honestly, it's not meant to actually light someone. It's meant so that you can see what the strobe will be doing when you fire it.
Yeah.
um, because usually like the whole, I mean, I talk about this in the course, but like the whole idea behind constant light versus strobe light is that you can get way more power out of a light that fires off quickly
Mm-hmm.
uh, versus a light that's on all the time. And it's
Yeah.
why on movie sets we use big giant lights, because in order to get that light you need a big giant light. And
Yeah.
photographers can use smaller units with big batteries that just fire quickly, and then
Yeah.
they recycle, right? You have to wait for them to recharge, and it's like boop, boop, and then you take it again. So yes, we do talk about constant light, and we do talk about what the constant light will do on a strobe, which helps you shape the light, and you can actually see what you're doing while you're getting used to it.
There's a good question about let's see, is constant light or strobe preferred for portrait shots?
Yeah, I mean, I again, it kind of prefers. It depends on what you have. Like, if you have a strobe, you don't need much. Like, I'll put a backpack on and I'll carry my little Godex strobe and a stand and throw it up,
Yeah.
and I'll keep it and just use it. If you want to get the same effect and use the same settings on your camera, like shooting at a lower ISO and a fast shutter, you're going to need a much bigger constant light to get you there, and then it becomes carrying a giant case and equipment.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, to each their own, but that's why photographers prefer the smaller units, I think.
Yeah. Uli asked when the course content will be published. You're just wrapping up some edits and it should be live like early next week.
Yeah, probably Monday or Tuesday, I assume.
Yeah. So you said about
Maybe we say
yourself.
Tuesday. I'm like, all the things I have to do.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, oh, Will's busy, but yeah, it'll
I'm getting
be
there.
live shortly.
It'll be
I
live next
already,
week for
I just gave Will some notes because he already
so many notes.
did a pass, and I was like, we can make this a little bit better, Will. So
We can.
looking out for all you people.
Here's the thing, though. Sam edited all that, and then I QC'd. Well, he showed all those classes, added in stuff, colored some stuff, and clearly I missed some things. And now I have to go back and
Okay,
get
that's
it.
okay. That's why we had.
But that's why there's the
do
three
it.
of us, right? Sam
Yep.
did a pass, and then he took off.
Yep. Yep. Any last questions before we cut out early today? Will's got a real estate photography gig. If you're watching right now, hit that like button. That helps with the algorithms of the world. Speaking of algorithms, how's it being off of Instagram?
Ooh, I knew you were gonna get there. I actually enjoy it. It's funny though, because like once I went off Instagram, I've had a lot of like actual phone calls and texts from friends like, are you okay? Is everything all right? Like, what are you doing? How are
Yeah.
you going to do this as a photographer and a visual artist?
Yeah.
And honestly, like that makes me even more not want to be on it.
Yeah.
I do understand the benefits and stuff. And again, it's like more of a personal thing, but man, the amount of free time that has like come into my life because I'm not scrolling on Instagram has been good. And I think it's just an addiction problem, right? Like anyone can have it and not be on it. I just like, it's easier for me not to.
They're made to be addictive, so it's really hard.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Uli asked another great question about how do we manage to do so much stuff, and the real honest truth is like burnout every couple weeks because it's we do a lot, and it's hard to cut back when I feel the pressure, maybe self-imposed pressure to always be online helping students out, creating new content, trying to compete with the other latest hot viral influencers and photographers out putting out a ton of content on all the platforms. And so I don't know, we don't know. I don't have the answer because every few weeks I feel burnt out.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a real important thing is Phil does way more than us. It doesn't maybe look like it because we're also actively shooting, but Phil is pumping out courses and editing and taking care of 3 kids constantly.
Yeah.
But I don't know, Phil, like, do you, and like, we have a Slack channel. I don't know if you guys use Slack, but we use Slack. And for my for both my businesses, I use Slack, but it turns off at 6 o'clock. Like,
Yeah.
stop getting alerts at 6. And like, Phil and Sam can message me all they want at night, and I will not see them until the next morning. And I think finding a balance in your life, and I think Phil too, Saturdays and Sundays
Yeah.
don't work.
Oh
Like,
yeah. I mean,
just
during the
limit
week
yourself.
too, that was like the biggest thing what after having kids, because before kids, it's like I look back and I'm like, my wife worked full time. I had 40 hours a week plus to just work on all this stuff that we have built. And now it's like, well, I have 3 toddlers at home most days of the week. And in the beginning, it was like really hard to figure out how to turn it off. But I did go through, I went to therapy and talked about this stuff, and it was
Yeah.
hard, like for a while trying to figure it out. And I still don't have it all figured out, but I have done a lot better at being able to turn it off when it's
Yeah.
time to be with the family. And that's like the biggest thing, I think.
The balance of, like, don't, set perimeters for yourself and try and stick to it as best you can. Obviously, there's going to be nights where you have to like answer a client or like build a class, get it done by
Yeah.
tomorrow. But for the most part, you
Oh,
just
and
have to
learning
like
how to say
find
no
balance.
to things too. That's probably the biggest thing. Like for better or worse, I haven't taken on a ton of freelance photography and
Yeah.
video gigs, even though, and people have slowly stopped asking me to do them because, I'm not the go-to person as much anymore. But yeah, just saying no to things has helped a lot.
Yeah.
Let's just take this last actual question from Intrigue about, I've heard 7-foot softbox is needed for fine art. I don't think anything's needed for anything, but that's pretty
Wow.
big.
Whoa. Good job, Phil. Wow. Phil just like entered Nirvana.
You know what I mean, though?
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah, for
need
sure.
anything to actually be able to do
Yeah.
anything. You can
You
figure
don't.
it out.
Like, just because someone says you need a 7-foot box to create fine art, I will never use a 7-foot softbox to create fine art.
But
Just
it
because
could
they
be
said
kind of
that.
cool. I mean, I'm
It
sure
would
a
be
7-foot
super helpful. Yeah.
softbox could create very soft light. But
Yeah, or take a bigger light and bounce it into a wall, or like
yeah,
take a more powerful light and step back, and it'll spread out and it'll still have that same effect. Like,
yeah.
there are ways to figure out how to do all this stuff. You don't have to be beholden to stuff.
On that note, thank you everyone for being here. We will add some more times for upcoming live sessions in the next week or so. I don't think we have anything scheduled right now, but we'll try to be back. If not next week, the week after. You guys are going to be busy in June, right?
No, I mean, Sam's gonna be busy until the
Okay, so
12th or
you're not
something. But
busy.
like,
Okay.
yeah, next week is bad, but I can be back June 1st. So
Okay. Well, we'll talk about it. And in the meantime, we hope everyone checks out the Lighting Bootcamp and signs up. And that'll be starting in June. Take part in our weekly photo challenges. And as always, review those classes. That's something that helps us out a lot. If you go on Udemy and review the classes or wherever you're watching them, that really helps us, and we appreciate
yeah,
that.
big time. So
All right, Will. Good luck
very
with your shoot
helpful.
today, everyone else. Bye.
Thank you.
See ya.
See ya. Thanks for watching.